everything in Policia is under my control. I won't waste my breath on those unwilling to listen. You are a vital part of this city's development.
폴리티아의 발전을 위해만.
What's up, guys? So, we got our new best girl here. And let's talk about her. We're gonna skip all of the not gonna lie, I really like this image. It'd be a cool wallpaper, actually. Her computer. I don't know if I could get that without the crap around it. Maybe I can get it off her S3. Looks pretty good, I think. So let's skip forward a little bit. There's some concept art. Now, looks like she's riding around in a leaf. Just like the Professor X of Epic 7. Alright, so we got Belian here. She's a Light Knight Ares. Same base stats as Lilius. Very trash base attack because you don't need attack. I'm guessing her attack mods are going to be very low. Very good base health. I think the highest base health is around 7k, if I remember correctly. The base speed is not bad either. And the base defense is good. No bonus crit damage. She gets 18% effectiveness, which is appropriate for her kit, right? And an ER imprint release, which is actually good. And self-imprint health. ER release is really strong in the current meta to deal with Angie, right? Like when I draft into Angie in the current meta, I pick Maid with 15% on her artifact. Her passive, Carmen, gives another AoE F-res. And then Trozet gives another AoE F-res. So literally on top of my Maid's base ER, I get 35 from within her kit. And then basically another 25 or so through imprints. And then her self-imprint as well can go up to, I forget how high. But yeah, a lot of free ER. And then throwing her into that mix as well, depending on how her scaling is, she could be your solo DPS in a comp like that. Stops your opponents from getting souls. Pretty busted. We'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, some big ER. I think ER is really strong in the meta right now. So we got her skills. This is her passive, right? Called Shackles of the Suppression. They should rename it to Shackle Your Book. Right? So decreases the number of souls gained by the enemy by 100%. So basically, if you have Belian on your team, they're not allowed to use souls at all. The entire game. So imagine you're playing chess and you tell them, you're like, hey, look, what's that? And they turn around and look behind them, right? And then you take their queen off the board and you chuck that shit as far as you can. And they turn around, right? And they haven't noticed that you threw their queen away, and they continue playing the game.
Yikes! I had one. I had it.
That's basically like what this unit does, okay? If I'm gonna put it in terms that you guys can like understand, like this is how good this is, okay? Because some people are really undervaluing souls, okay? I think I specifically said it's like Enoch could have this passive and be a viable unit. Okay. I think this is very powerful. The second part of this is kind of whatever. At the start of the turn, has 70% chance, up to 100, to grant a random buff to the caster for one turn. Honestly, I mean, getting effectiveness buff is really nice because, like I just said, right, there's really high ER in the meta right now. That's good. But you're not going to be able to rely on this anyways. And then continuous healing is another good thing, right? In a long sustained fight, it helps with your healing. Maybe if you have like Maid or Amelia on your team, you kind of lack healing. Same with Deanne, right? A lot of the meta Soul Weavers, they don't really pump out heals. And they're sitting like a Katie's or something, right? So her to be able to self-sustain a little bit could be pretty good. Crit chance, I have no idea why this is here. This is trash. I don't know if they're trying to incentivize you building her 50 crit because she can self-crit buff 1 out of 3 times. I think it's just going to be a dead buff. It's going to be a buffer for Landy most of the time. But she only gets it for 1 turn, so after her turn ends, it goes away. So, who knows? honestly, I think you could get away without molding this. It's just like getting continuous healing can be nice, getting effectiveness can be nice, but getting crit chance is literally a waste. So I don't know. The main thing of this skill is the souls. That's it. The other half is just like, okay, right. Let's move forward here. So we have Apocalypse, which is our S3. Attacks all enemies with the power of duties, which, okay. Decreasing combat readiness by a random amount between 20 and 40% and provokes for 1 turn. Increases her own defense, so that's good. So she provokes and gives herself defense buff, meaning she'll take less damage after she provoked everything from S1s and etc. That's great. And then damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max health. I don't know how the scaling's going to be on this, but if you were to compare this to another unit, it would be Fire Cecilia, right? Because she has an AoE S1 or an AoE, S3 ability that provokes, and she grants immunity, right? Basically, trade that immunity for a self-defense buff, and I think does Fire CC give her self-defense buff as well? I don't remember. I think Maya does. But yeah, trade what she does besides the provoke for the CR push, right? I bet the damage is going to be very similar. Thing is, with these kind of characters, okay, that's a lot of stats, right? Building high effectiveness, getting a good amount of health to survive damage, and getting crit damage is kind of difficult because if you're going to be provoking things, you're going to want some kind of defense as well. That's 5 stats that you're going to want to go into. And that's going to make her kind of harder to build. I think maybe the play is to go high. It's basically another A Tywin, right? You're going to you can probably do a hybrid type build, but you're not going to be able to get like cracked amounts of crit damage. You can max out crit, maybe get like 200 to 220 crit damage, and then like 150 effectiveness on top of that. Could probably be pretty solid, I would think, with a decent amount of speed, maybe 210. Those are kind of doable stats, so maybe like 20k health. And then like 1500 defense, 1400 defense. I think that might be doable, but I think you're going to be forsaking one thing for another, And then let's move forward here. So it shows our S3 again. Cool. So this is our S1. This is a lot of text. Light of Destruction. Attacks all enemies with a ray with, I forget... It goes up to 65, right? Yeah, 65% chance to dispel 1 buff. So it's an AoE strip on her S1. When used on the caster's turn, has a 35% chance to activate Incursion as an extra attack. And this also has health scaling. Incursion decreases speed and hit chance for 1 turn. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max health. So I want you guys to think about something, right? You guys know Arbiter Vildred's S3. When he S3s your team of damage dealers and you have no cleanse, this unit's going to be doing that a lot after stripping you first. That's really annoying. That's so annoying. And then Soulburn increases it to 100% chance to activate her S2. So, it's not hard to do often. Yes, this is RNG. It's only on her turn, so you can't put her on counter, and you can't do it on Elbrus, right? Because she's a knight. She can hold Elbrus. But this is still I still think she might be good on counter because you can counter AoE strip, right? You can Elbrus counter AoE strip. That's all. That's good in itself without even activating the second part of this ability, right? Still have to see scaling to see if that kind of stuff is worth it, or if you're going to build her more as a support and throw adamant on her. I think there's a lot of memes, things you can do with this unit, because Holy Sack exists. I think you could build her on Lifesteal and give her Holy Sack and be really annoying into Cleave. She already kills the fact that Cleave can't hold books. And then, she could literally remove the option of them drafting books, and then also probably solo their team on top of that. I think this unit is a way bigger counter to Cleave than Angie is. These two units coupled together is disgusting. I honestly don't know what the hell Malgate's thinking at this point, but this unit single-handedly stops Cleave if you have a good build on her. No books, and if there's a draft without books, which there is. There's like Stray's Cleave. You can use like Opsig. You won't be able to burn Opsig, but you can use her to delete something with a barrier, right? You could still Oxlocks boost into something. Obviously, the value of him using book kind of goes away. You could still use this. Kind of makes Caesarea kind of okay. Like you can Athletica boost and that, and then into Caesarea into more boost into Strays. Like there's cleavers will adapt, right? Or they're just gonna pre-banner. We'll see how they manage to do that. But I think the unit is probably it fits my playstyle, but there's one big downfall to this unit, and that's the fact that her S1 is AoE. Let me ask you guys another question. How often do you see Yuna and Dizzy picked in RTA? They have AoE S1. How often do you see them picked? Basically, almost never, right? Exactly. So, and the reason for this is, like I'm sure most of you guys know, and if you don't, it's because Rem exists. Roana can exist. Roana, like if this unit's on Elbrus counter set, Roana actually fucks this unit. And then even without that, because she gets extra attacks with their incursion, so Roana's good to her, into her. SSB instantly S2s every time this unit takes a turn, basically. Mercedes. Basically, hell, even like Charles in this instance, right? Like on Elbrus. Basically any Elbrus unit. The fact that you push Charlotte up, she burns herself from Carrot. Like, this entire meta is very anti-AoE right now. So, I think this unit's just in a weird spot where, like, she's super good in the cleave, right? But she's terrible into a slow draft. Unless you late pick her. She's not an early pick unit. She's a counter pick unit. You have to pick her in like the 4th, 5th slot. There's too many units that hard counter her in the meta right now. Granted, she hard counters books, which I've been calling for a book, some way to deal with book for a long time, because I think it's a stupid gimmick. You run all your units on this one artifact, and like I've never liked it, right? I've always thought that maybe they nerf it down to a max 10 souls, and that way you have to have 2 mages with your team to actually take advantage of a, like Pavel Soulburn or something like that, and make it more restrictive. But yeah. And I use books now. Like I Pavel Cleave. I use Stenny a lot. But I actually think, like, this is a hot take. I watched the podcast between, on Sky King's Twitch channel with New and them, and like I kind of agree with New on the fact, like, I think this unit's kind of like a necessary evil to shake up the meta, because the meta it's very intact right now, and it's built heavily around Spectre Tenebrae, and this unit is very good into her because she removes her book, and she's constantly AoEing, right? So she's a good answer to her that doesn't suffer the same weaknesses as like Yuna or Dizzy. And that biggest thing is Violet, right? Violet's still gonna counter her a lot, but depending on how she's built or whatever, like it's not gonna matter too much. She's gonna be a tanky. She's a knight that AoEs, right? I don't think it's gonna impact it that much. She's gonna feed focus. But that's another thing. But she doesn't basically she's just better at doing it than Yuna and Dizzy in terms of that. And then also another big problem in the game right now is Guiding Light, which I believe this is good into that as well. And not necessarily because this unit can be picked, but it's just the fact that this unit exists now is gonna make it to where, like, first picking S10, banning Landy, first picking S10 is not going to be as good because this unit's in the game now. And people are going to have to think twice about wanting to do that, right? Their book is going to be useless, and she's going to get hit constantly, But at the same time, And they're not going to be able to accrue souls the entire fight, which is huge. Like I said, that's like playing chess without your queen. Those are your power play moments. Those are when you stack up souls with S10 and you spam soul burn and kill half their team. Right? That's how you lose to an AFK Lakari, okay? Because S10 soul burns, right? So, yeah. F in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then I'm sure if you ask around, you'll figure it out. But, yeah, I think she's an interesting unit. And honestly, I don't think you absolutely have to pull her. I think her existing, in general, is going to change the meta. I'm interested to see how it's going to change, right? So, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm going to go for her. I'm like, the servers are down right now because I'm recording this at the time of maintenance, but I'm like at 175 pulls in because, you know, I pulled 4 speds, and I think I have like 600 mystics right now. So, like, it's going to be an adventure for me to pull this unit if I go in for it or not. And I'm going to have to wait for mystic packs to reset if that is the case. I kind of hope I just pull her, you know? I need a break. I went in for Angie. Just give me a break on this one. I can pass on Judge Kisei, which will probably be the next one. And then look forward to Lilius or Kairon, right? And just save up. That's what I would like. That would be really nice. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? If you disagree with me, talk about why. Because I would like to hear your guys' takes too. But yeah. Peace. Like, comment, subscribe, all that shit. Later.
Do I really need to do this myself?